Thank you so much. You are so hospitable and gracious. Thanks for the time and thanks for having us. A couple things I want you to think about a couple of things. When you were a child, what was your favorite form of play? Just want you to think about that. What was your favorite thing to do as a child? Favorite form of play? You know, when we give these talks, that's one of the first questions that we always ask. I'm not used to being tired. You can walk. It's okay. It's good discipline. Oh, there we go. So we always ask that anytime that we give a talk about the park, that's one of our first icebreakers, because inevitably, the facial expressions on everyone in attendance, they always change, because everybody has some favorite form of play as a child, whatever it was. Usually, without fail, everybody can give you some sort of answer of what they used to do as a child. Now, think about maybe it was you, or maybe a friend of yours, or a classmate, someone you knew. What did the kids do who maybe had mobility issues, or maybe they were in a wheelchair, maybe they had crutches or some sort of walking device? What did they do? What did they do when you were all running around out on the playground or out on the kickball field or whatever it is you were doing? What did they do? Because what we're finding out is, so depending on what statistics you listen to or the numbers you hear, between 1 in 7 and 1 in 8 people in the United States have some kind of differing ability of all sorts. And we're also talking about maybe people who are on the spectrum, or maybe cognitive issues, differing abilities, mobility issues. And so we're seeing that number increasing. But now also think about, what if you are giving care to an elderly parent? Maybe they're rehabilitating at your home, had a knee replaced, a hip replaced. What happens if you are caring for a parent who has Alzheimer's or dementia? Wouldn't it be nice to go to a safe, enclosed area where it would be enriching? You could get outside, you can get some fresh air, you could get a little bit of exercise. The person that you're giving care to would be safe, but they could also get a little bit of exercise, even if it's just to walk, which we know that walking laps for people who are either dementia or Alzheimer's, or people on the spectrum, walking laps in a safe environment, big body movements. So a couple years ago, where we're at, we're on Main Street in Seymour, and so we really have kind of a city block. But right in the corner, there was a house. We had some neighbors, and there was a house there. A grandfather raising his grandchild, who himself was on the spectrum, but quite high functioning. Well, sadly, the grandfather died, and there was no next of kin, and so unfortunately this young man, who was very much a part of our ministry at Emmanuel, he came and was with us a good deal, and he would just pop in and out. He was an unofficial staff member. Well, he had to go to a different facility, and he's not around here anymore. Well, we still see him, but he's not in the Seymour area. So the house became available. And as a congregation, we said, boy, wouldn't it be nice if we could buy that property? Wouldn't that be fun? We were just dreaming. We didn't really think we could or would do it. But we said, wouldn't it be fun if we could buy that property? And even when we were dreaming, we always said, we're not making it into any more parking lot. We don't need any more parking. We have plenty of parking. But wouldn't it be fun if we could buy that property and do something with it? Well, as everything unfolded, we talked to the family and became apparent that we were very much in the conversation of buying this property. And so with a little bit of conversation and a very generous anonymous gift, which was given to us as a congregation in the amount of the property price, we were able to purchase that piece of property. To this day, now we're into 3 years, I still don't know who gave us that gift. Maybe eventually we will. It doesn't matter. So we bought the property, and the only condition that the anonymous giver said was, do something with it, turn it into a park. But park is a pretty general term. Make it into a park. And that was the only thing that they said to us. And so we started to say, well, what would this park look like? And along as we're trying to envision this and dream, we're also thinking about the young man who lived there, who was on the spectrum, and we started to say, what if we were to start building a park where people who are on the spectrum could have a safe place to play? Because if you know, people who are on the spectrum, they like to what is called lope, which means they like to just run, even if it's not safe. For the sake of full disclosure, I have a 6-year-old grandson who is on the spectrum, and he loves to run, and even sometimes when it is not safe. So we understood, not only as a family, but we were also taking into consideration, we were talking to families with people with differing abilities. What would this start to look like? Well, it needs to be fenced in, whatever we do with it. And so we said, okay, so we were going to put a fence. And then we started to say, remember your favorite form of play, and what did the kids do who couldn't come to be with you? So then we said, well, what would it look like if everybody had a chance to come and play, regardless if they were in a wheelchair, a walker, or crutches, an elderly family member? And so what we did was then we started to put the plans together, and we put in what it's called an inclusive playground, which is, it's a rubberized surface. So it is a rubberized surface that regardless of your mobility issues, regardless of cognitive issues, whatever it is, whatever ability you might have, it is totally accessible. So we put the playground in. There is a company in Cambridge, just down the road here, Burke, Lee Recreations, Burke Equipment. You see their name on a lot of things. They helped us. They have a lot of inclusive equipment. And so then we started going to inclusive playgrounds and parks. There's a couple actually right here in Appleton. We went and we toured them, and we saw things that we liked. We learned about them, and we said, what would it look like for us to do this, given the parameters of the space that we had? And we put it into being. But it was really a lot of learning. There is a lot of actually science that goes into play. You would be surprised at that. That sounds contradictory in terms, but there actually is a lot of science that goes into play. The concept "come and see" is a phrase that they use a lot when you talk about a playground, when you invite people to come. Think about little kids. Think about a lot of the social learning that little kids do. They learn to share, they learn to cooperate, they learn to tell stories, but they also learn to invite, hey, come and play with me, come and see. And so we're trying to figure out, what does this site look like where little kids of all abilities could say, come and see. So we put that together. We tried to learn as much as we could about language and about what play looked like, even down to a slide. You see those roller slides, those roller with the metal bar slides? We put one of those in versus the traditional slide that you see that is kind of that plasticky, whatever that stuff is. We did that for a couple reasons. One, when you go down it, it builds up static electricity. Static electricity on a cochlear implant is devastating. I didn't ever know that. I know that now. That was part of the things that we learned. And so a metal slide, when you roll down it, does not build up static electricity. So we were thinking about even things like that. So little kids, if they would, or big kids, were to have cochlear implants, it would not harm them. Another thing that we did, because we were also hearing from families who were giving care to aged relatives, parents, whatever. It would be nice to have some respite, to come bring mom and dad in here. And so they even have a couple of pieces of exercise equipment for people of all ages. So we have a standing elliptical in our park. We also have a sitting bench press. So if you want to sit there, any age, you can come. And so as we were all putting this all together, then we thought, well, if these people are going to come, if this is going to be a place that they want to come, another thing that becomes a dignity issue is toileting. Toileting is a major issue, as you know. So think about that. Think about you packed everybody into the van, you're going to come to the park, and you get there, and what's the first thing that happens? Got to go to the bathroom. You're not going to pack everybody up. So then we said, well, we need to put a bathroom with our park. So then we said, well, if we're going to have a bathroom with our park, let's put a pavilion with it. Let's make this a place where they could come, maybe have lunch and spend the afternoon. So that's what we did. So then not only did we put a park, but then right next to it, we were able to add a pavilion. We put in a restroom, an accessible restroom with an adult-sized changing table. An adult-sized changing table because toileting and dignity matters. And it is very hard to find adult changing tables. And so we applied through the ELCA Disability Ministries for a grant, and we were awarded the grant for $10,000, and part of the grant was to go towards an adult-sized changing table. So we have that. We have it installed. And so we now see this. We've always seen it, but now as it's becoming more and more real, as an extension of ministry for us at Emmanuel, because part of everything since we've started this was always building partnerships in the community. So the learning center at the school for children with different learning abilities, they're going to partner with us and come and use the park. We're in conversation with a long-term care facility in Seymour about ways that they can come and bring the residents for life enrichment. As well as we're just in the beginning stages of trying to figure out what kind of partnerships can we build as an outreach ministry for us. Because what we're also finding, we kind of carved a unique areas that we are a private entity that has created a public space. Because this park, this pavilion, is actually for the whole community. That's what we've always touted it as ever since we started this. Well, private entities building public spaces, they don't happen a lot. Typically, when a private entity builds something, they like to keep it, kind of private. But we said, no, we didn't want to do that. So now I should back up. So we put the price tag on it. It came in just shy of $600,000. And so we have fundraised. We have received some gifts. We have been blessed with lots of generous donations. People have been very kind to us. The congregation itself gave us a gift of $100,000. That was a gift. And then our endowment fund has given us a loan that has covered everything else. So what we're really doing, we're continuing to fundraise and to get all of this taken care of. So we have covered over half of the total costs. We are on the downward slide now. So we're fingers crossed we continue to fundraise and we'll get this thing all paid off. But then we also are looking long term then as to the park would develop its own endowment so that it would be its own entity. That forever and ever, any expense that the park incurs would have its own money. It would not have to rely on other things to take care of it. But in the meantime, the congregation has fully accepted the role of taking care of the day-to-day maintenance, taking care of the supplies it needs, whatever it is that comes up in the meantime. The congregation has fully accepted that into its budget and into its ministry. So that's really... So we're looking forward to what 2024 has in store for us. So we were hoping for a ribbon cutting this fall, but you all know how construction things go. Construction timelines get bumped and they get moved, and so we did not have a ribbon cutting this fall, which is okay. So we're going to push it to next spring, because then it will be totally done. It will be totally functional, operational, and then plus that will also buy us time to figure out what the schedule look like and how the ministries that we will create, the partnerships with local families, with the school, with long-term care facility, but then also these people who can just come and see, regardless of what age they are, of what it's like to just play. It should not be hard work to play. And so ultimately what we try to do is create a space where play is fun. So we're grateful for all of the people who have been with us along this journey, and for good people like you who will kindly listen to the words that we speak. So thank you for your time and for the opportunity. If anyone, I do have a few brochures, if anybody would like them, or if I could just leave them here. If anybody would like them, I'd be glad. There's all sorts of information on there about the park and about the pavilion. But with that, I say thank you very much.